Have you ever noticed something strange? The moment you start feeling better, the moment you finally begin respecting yourself, the moment you stop chasing people, suddenly, people start acting weird. Not all people, but certain people. Some become distant, some stop calling, some stop texting, some start treating you like you've changed. And honestly, you did change. But here's the funny part. When you were exhausted, confused, available 24 hours a day, replying to messages faster than customer service, everybody loved you. The second you start healing, now you're different. Now you're hard to reach. Now you're acting funny. Interesting. Very interesting. It's like people ordered the old version of you, and now they're upset because the update installed automatically. Anybody relate to this? Let me know in the comments, because I think we've all met at least one person who loved us when we were struggling, but got uncomfortable when we started growing. And that's exactly what Carl Jung understood. He believed that real healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about becoming more yourself. And here's the problem. Not everyone benefits from the real you. Some people only benefit from the wounded version. That's a tough truth. But by the end of this video, you'll understand why healing often feels lonely at first. And more importantly, why that's actually a sign you're moving in the right direction. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever mysterious snack you're hiding from your family, and let's talk about it. Because this gets interesting. Very interesting. The first thing nobody tells you about healing is that healing changes your energy. Now, before anybody rolls their eyes and says, "Here we go with the energy talk," stay with me. I'm talking about something real. Think about it. When you're insecure, you spend a lot of time trying to impress people. You over-explain. You over-apologize. You overgive. You overthink. Someone takes 3 hours to reply. You're investigating like an FBI agent. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're mad. Maybe they got kidnapped. You create 17 different explanations. Healing changes that. You stop chasing answers. You stop forcing connections. You stop begging people to stay. And suddenly, people who were used to having unlimited access to your attention start feeling the difference. It's like when a store suddenly stops giving free samples. The people who came for the free stuff disappear first. Funny how that works, and Carl Jung talked about something called individuation. A fancy word that basically means becoming who you really are. Not who your parents wanted, not who society wanted, not who your friends expected, not who your ex imagined. The real you. And when that process begins, some relationships naturally fall apart. Not because anyone is evil, but because the relationship was built around a version of you that no longer exists. Imagine your friend only likes basketball. Every conversation is basketball. Every joke is basketball. Every meeting is basketball. Then one day you discover music. You start playing guitar. You start enjoying different things. Now every conversation feels different. Nobody is wrong. You've simply changed. The connection has changed. This happens all the time in healing. You become interested in different things. You value different things. You tolerate different things. Actually, scratch that. You stop tolerating certain things altogether. And that surprises people. The healed version of you has boundaries. And let me tell you something. Boundaries have ended more fake friendships than honesty ever did. The moment you say no, people suddenly become historians. They start bringing up everything you've ever done. You've changed. You used to be nice. You used to help me. Translation: you used to do what I wanted. That's what they really mean. And if you've experienced this, congratulations. You're probably healing. Now here's where things get funny. Some people disappear before you've even said anything. You don't argue. You don't fight. You don't announce your transformation. You simply become calmer, more peaceful, less reactive, and somehow that bothers people. Why? Because healing changes the role you play in their life. For example, maybe you were always the friend who listened to everybody's drama. 3-hour phone calls, 5-hour phone calls, calls so long your phone battery needed therapy afterward. You listened, you comforted, you rescued, you solved problems. Then healing happens. Now you're protecting your peace. Now you're limiting negativity. Now you're not available every single night. And suddenly, people who relied on your emotional labor start drifting away. Not because you're bad, because the arrangement changed, the role changed, and not everyone likes casting changes, especially when they weren't consulted. It's almost like a TV show. The audience loved season 1. Then the main character develops confidence. Now half the audience is confused. Bring back the old version. But the story has moved forward. And so have you. One of Jung's most powerful ideas was the shadow. The parts of ourselves we don't fully see. The hidden fears, the hidden insecurities, the hidden motives. Healing shines a flashlight into those dark corners. And once you see things clearly, you can't unsee them. You start noticing patterns. You notice who only calls when they need something. You notice who disappears when you need support. You notice who celebrates your failures more than your successes. And let's be honest, we've all met that person. The one who gets strangely quiet whenever something good happens to you. You tell them, I got promoted. Silence. I bought a new house. Silence. I finally found peace. Silence. But tell them, my life is falling apart. And suddenly they're available immediately. Fastest reply in human history. Healing helps you see these patterns. Not because you become judgmental, because you become aware. And awareness changes everything. Now here's another reason people disappear. This one surprised me. Your healing reminds other people of what they haven't healed. Think about that. Sometimes your growth isn't bothering people because of anything you did. It's bothering them because it reflects something back to them. A mirror. A very uncomfortable mirror. If you've ever started eating healthier, you've probably seen this happen. You order a salad. Everybody acts personally attacked. Nobody asked them to change. Nobody judged their food. Yet somehow your salad became a national emergency. Why? Because change makes people reflect on themselves. Healing does the same thing. When you become more confident, people question their confidence. When you set boundaries, people question their lack of boundaries. When you value yourself, people question why they don't value themselves. And not everyone wants those questions. Some people would rather avoid the mirror, so they avoid the person holding it. And sometimes, that person is you. Now, let's talk about something that almost nobody likes to admit. Some people were connected to your pain, not your personality. Ouch, I know. That one stings a little, but think about it. Have you ever had someone lose interest the moment your life started improving? When you were struggling, they were everywhere. When you were confused, they were available. When you doubted yourself, they had advice. Lots of advice. Enough advice to fill 3 libraries. But the moment you started trusting yourself, making your own decisions, building your confidence, they slowly faded away. Why? Because some people feel valuable when you're broken. Your healing removes the position they created for themselves. They were the rescuer, the fixer, the expert, the hero. But now, you don't need saving every Tuesday. You don't need emergency emotional support every Thursday. You don't need permission to live your life. And suddenly the relationship feels different. Carl Jung understood something powerful. People often resist change even when the change is good. Not because they hate you, Because change creates uncertainty. Human beings love familiarity, even unhealthy familiarity. That's why some people stay in bad relationships, bad jobs, bad habits, bad situations, because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. And when you heal, you become unfamiliar. You start speaking differently, thinking differently, responding differently. The old buttons no longer work. People push them. Nothing happens. They're confused. You used to explode. Now you're calm. You used to argue. Now you're smiling. You used to chase. Now you're busy living your life. And let me tell you, nothing confuses manipulative people more than a person who refuses to play the game anymore. It's like showing up to a football match and discovering the other team went home. Game over. No audience. No drama. No chaos. Just peace. And peace is surprisingly unpopular among people who feed on drama. Have you noticed that? Some people treat drama like Netflix. They need a new episode every day, a new argument, a new crisis, a new problem, a new villain. Meanwhile, you're over here enjoying your coffee, watering your plants, taking walks, protecting your peace. And they don't know what to do with that version of you. So they disappear. And honestly, sometimes that's a gift wrapped in disappointment, but still a gift. Because healing isn't only about attracting better people, it's also about revealing who was never really aligned with you in the first place. Think of it like cleaning out your closet. At first it looks messy. Everything is on the floor. You're wondering if you've made a terrible mistake. Then suddenly, you realize half the stuff in there didn't fit anymore. Some of it never fit. You were just used to seeing it there. Healing works the same way. At first it feels like loss. Then it starts looking like clarity. And clarity changes everything. Now here's the part nobody expects. The people who disappear are not the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise is who stays. Because while some people leave, others step forward. People who actually like the real you. Not the people-pleasing version. Not the exhausted version. Not the constantly apologizing version. The real version. And those connections feel different. You don't have to perform. You don't have to earn their respect. You don't have to convince them to care. You don't have to write a 12-page explanation every time you make a decision. They're simply there, supporting, encouraging, respecting. Healthy relationships feel strangely easy after years of unhealthy ones. In fact, at first they almost feel suspicious. You're waiting for the catch. You're waiting for the drama. You're waiting for the hidden fee, like some emotional subscription service. Surely this friendship will become complicated eventually, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes healthy really is healthy, and healing helps you recognize the difference. Here's another funny thing. The more you heal, the less interested you become in impressing everybody. You stop needing universal approval. Because let's be honest, trying to make everyone happy is a full-time job with terrible pay. No vacation, no benefits, no retirement plan, and everybody still complains. Healing helps you quit that job. You start realizing something important. Not everyone has to understand you. Not everyone has to agree with you. Not everyone has to stay. That realization is freedom. Real freedom. The kind that allows you to sleep peacefully at night. The kind that allows you to stop overthinking every conversation from 3 years ago. The kind that allows you to stop wondering why someone left. Because sometimes the answer is simple. They left because your path changed. They left because your values changed. They left because your boundaries changed. They left because your healing changed the relationship. And that's okay. Not every person is meant to walk with you forever. Some people are chapters, not the entire book. And that's one of the hardest lessons of growth. But it's also one of the most beautiful, because when you stop trying to force every connection to last forever, you start appreciating people for what they were meant to be, a lesson, a blessing, a season, a memory, a chapter, and then you keep moving forward. Carl Jung once suggested that becoming yourself is one of the most difficult journeys a person can take, and he was right, because becoming yourself requires losing masks, losing roles, losing expectations, and sometimes losing people. But what you gain is worth it. You gain peace, you gain confidence, you gain clarity, you gain freedom, you gain authenticity. You gain a relationship with yourself that nobody can take away. And here's what I want you to remember. If people are disappearing as you heal, that doesn't automatically mean you've done something wrong. Sometimes it means you've finally stopped abandoning yourself. Sometimes it means you've outgrown spaces that were too small for who you're becoming. Sometimes it means life is making room for people who can actually meet the new version of you. So don't panic if your circle gets smaller. A smaller circle is not always a worse circle. Sometimes it's a healthier one, a stronger one, a more genuine one. And sometimes the greatest sign of healing isn't who left, it's who remained. And most importantly, the person who remained is you. The version of you that finally stopped running from yourself. The version of you that finally chose peace over approval. The version of you that finally realized your worth doesn't depend on who stays and who leaves. So if you've noticed people disappearing lately, maybe don't see it as rejection. Maybe see it as redirection. Maybe see it as proof that your healing is working. And if any part of this video connected with you, drop a comment below and tell us. What changed in your life when you started healing? Did your circle get smaller? Or did it finally get real? I'd love to hear your story. And remember, the goal was never to keep everybody. The goal was always to find yourself. And once you find yourself, the right people usually find you too. See you in the next video.